Holly. Okay. Jerry. Jeffrey?
Yes, Jeffrey, right?
Okay. Lori? Lori? Oh, there you are.
I'm there.
And Randy, are you still here?
Yep, present.
I'm moving around on my screen. I see you. Shojin?
Yeah.
I saw your name there. Ted Chung? Yes. Victor? Victor Young? I see James, not Victor. Victor, did you call in? I don't see it. Okay, I'll check for him later. Everyone except Victor's here.
Okay, thank you. We have a quorum. Everybody received a copy of the meeting minutes from the January meeting and had an opportunity to give any kind of feedback back to Eleanor. So with a motion, can I seek a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Randy. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Lori. Next, we will move on to the treasurer's report for January. Randy?
Good evening, everyone. For January 2021, always a month in arrears for our treasurer reports. We did have one deposit in January, and that was our social programs agreement from the county for $2,500. So that, along with our interest, was some income of $2,500.07. And then we did have a few expenses during the month, totaling $848.95. And then our operating budget for 2021 is $5,453. Then our restricted funds, we've got our Planet Hills Trails and Park Support Fund at $5,375.89. And our Park Support Funds account is $1,570.65. And this report has been distributed by Eleanor to the board, and it is also posted on the website. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Randy. We move on now to our public safety and law enforcement updates. Representing the industry station, LA County Sheriff Department, is our town sheriff, Deputy Jose Ruano. Deputy Ruano, take it away.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
How are you doing, sir? Good evening. Actually, my name is Deputy Jose Cruz. I'll be assisting Deputy Jose Ruano while he's out on leave for a couple weeks. Actually, wanted to start off by providing my contact information just in case anyone has any concerns or questions. I will start off by providing my desk number. It's going to be 626-934-3083, and I'll also provide Deputy Jose Ruano's contact information, which is 626-934-3052. Any questions or concerns, feel free to call, and we will get back to you in a timely manner. I wanted to start off by touching on some major events in the area. This month, we celebrated Chinese New Year. As we all know, it's a large event in Hacienda Heights area. Due to COVID, however, Hsi Li Temple decided to cancel this year's event. They still requested assistance by industry sheriff deputies to provide traffic control in the surrounding areas of the temple and to prevent large gatherings while maintaining social distancing due to COVID-19. We did get a small amount of guests that showed up. The first couple of days, however, thanks to the temple, we were able to maintain a safe area for residents and guests. Next major event I wanted to touch on was, as we probably all saw in the news, in our surrounding area, there was a deputy ball shooting to the industry, which is fairly close to Hacienda Heights. The incident started when a deputy was approached when a suspect was approached by one of our deputies during the investigation, during the deputy's investigation, a deputy involved shooting did occur. But it said the incident was in the news and it's still an ongoing investigation. Thankfully, the deputy was not injured during the incident, and the suspect was taken into custody without incident. Next major event I wanted to talk about was there was a residential burglary which occurred during the day in the area of Punta del Este. The witness informant that called the station provided great detailed information and description of the suspect. With the quick response of our field deputies and our helicopter aero bureau, we detained one of the suspects and confirmed he was the person who committed the burglary. Unfortunately, the second suspect was not located. The next major event we had was the carjacking in the 6,000 block of Benny Street in Hacienda Heights in the early morning hours. The victim was approached by two suspects, both male Hispanics in their 30s. According to the victim, he pointed an unknown handgun and demanded the vehicle. The suspect fled the location along with the vehicle, and they were out of view. Just going over these major events and even small events that occur in the community, we encourage the residents to continue calling the station if they see anything or anyone suspicious in the area. If they are a victim of a petty crime or a crime, please, we encourage you guys to file your police reports. Recently, we had a resident call the station regarding a stolen package from the porch. Thanks to the surveillance video and excellent work from the field deputies, we were able to probably identify the suspect on video from previous contact. The suspect is not in custody, however, he is in a bond system. So we encourage residents to please call the station if you see anything, you see something or anything suspicious in your area, please call. From that, I'll go over to our crime stats for the year. I'll start off by going over our crimes against persons. Assault, year to date, we are at 7. Year to date last year, we were at 11. That's actually pretty good. Crimes against property, robbery, year to date, currently we are at 7. Year to date, a year ago, we were at 1. That's not good. Burglaries, we are at 20. Year to date last year, we were at 28. When it comes to vehicle auto theft, we are currently at 28. Year to date last year, we were at 14. When it comes to theft to a vehicle, we are at 77. Year to date last year, we were at 76. When it comes to theft to vehicles, we also remind our residents to continue locking your vehicles and not leave any valuables in plain sight. Just makes it easier for these opportunities to break your window and take your personal important property. So year-to-date total crime is up 8%. However, deputies are out there doing their job and contacting people that look suspicious, or our residents continue calling us and letting us know that there's suspicious people in the area, and we make contact with them. If I have no questions, I'll turn it over to Mr. Summers.
Deputy Cruz, quick question on the arrest made at Thomas Burton Park on the Berg suspect. I understood some deputies were attacked by him. Are they okay?
From my understanding, sir, there was some information that a possible second suspect was at that park. However, after making contact, we determined that he was not one of the suspects from the residential burglary, but there was unfortunately one of the deputies that was injured during that contact.
Okay. Well, we wish him or her well.
Thank you, sir. I will pass that forward, sir.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for Deputy Cruz?
Yes, Doc. This is Adriana. I have a question. Deputy Cruz, we have had very strong fireworks in the area, very, very strong. What can law enforcement do to prevent a possible fire because these fireworks are extremely strong?
Okay, what specific area are you talking about?
The area of Hacienda Heights, I've been told that it's close to one of the schools that is closed, elementary schools, on Garrow, and also behind the 99-cent store.
Okay. Now, if for whatever reason you see it, I would encourage you to call the station. We have been out there when, like, I'll give you an example. For 4th of July, we were out there, and although, we were out there, we see the fireworks go off, because it's very, very difficult to determine where they're actually coming from. But we still encourage you to call the station, and report it. Our goal ultimately is to catch these guys, and we don't want the fire to start in the Heights, especially in the high bluff area.
Any other questions for Deputy Cruz?
I'm not sure if this is the right time to ask these questions, but we were wondering what is being done for in regards to short rental houses, short-term rentals, and I know the sheriff has come. When we call, it's more for the city, for the supervisor. There's something in plans to stop this.
Is this Julietta or Isabel?
Julieta.
Okay, Julietta, if I may, I think, try to see if Nick Holden is on. Nick, are you on this evening?
Hi, Scott. Lauren's here.
Okay, Lauren, hi, I'm sorry. So, Julietta, when Lauren Yokomizo with Supervisor Hines' office gets up to speed, that's probably something that she may be able to address for you. Would that be okay?
Sure. Thank you.
Excellent. And so, Deputy Cruz, thank you very much. Next, representing California Highway Patrol, we have Officer Marcos Iniguez, also Public Information Officer for the CHP. Welcome, Officer Iniguez.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I'm going to start my timer. I'm going to try to stay under 7 minutes, Scott.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. So, we want to go over the traffic collisions that we had last month, being for January. We had a little over 400 traffic collisions that were reported within our area that we investigated. Last year, 2020, we had 700. So you can see that traffic volume is down, but I have seen, and I'm sure you guys that are commuting have seen an increase in traffic congestion. So that does seem to be increasing, but we are down considerably as far as traffic collision investigations. We had two fatal collisions in the Hacienda Heights and the Rowland Heights area. One of them was a solo driver on Colima. He ended up colliding into two palm trees that were in the center median, and the young man unfortunately died of the injuries from that collision. That just highlights, at the time we don't know if he was by himself, so we don't know if he was under the influence or if maybe he just became drowsy and lost control of his vehicle and collided into the palm trees there on Colima Road. But just please be aware of that. If you are feeling tired or you're with somebody that is tired, pull over or make arrangements so that you don't drive while you're drowsy, because the driving habits of a drowsy driver are very similar to those of a drunk driver. And we do not want you guys to get into an accident and get injured or ultimately die, the worst case scenario. We had close to 3,000 enforcement contacts that we made in January. Of those, it was 2,931, and of those we issued 1,667 citations. We've been getting a lot of calls, and I know you guys are very concerned about people speeding, racing, donuts, just loud exhaust. We've been getting those calls from a lot of concerned citizens. Hacienda Heights, Rowland Heights, unincorporated Whittier. You could probably any neighborhood, any residential area is seeing some type of activity when it comes to these types of vehicles. So I just wanted to let you guys know, I mean, it doesn't go unheard if we do go out there and try to pull some of these guys over. We had 57 citations that we issued for people traveling over 100 miles an hour. We had 289 citations on the freeway for people that were going over 65. For the most part, people are going about 75 to 80, I think, on the freeway nowadays. Anybody that's going 85 is probably going to get pulled over, and we do see that quite often. 81 citations for people just going over the basic speed law, and we had 60 citations. I don't know if any of you are out there that call in about semi-truck drivers not driving on the far right-hand lanes of the freeway. I do field those calls every once in a while, and I do want you guys to know that it doesn't go unheard. We issued 60 citations for those semi-truck drivers that are not being courteous and driving where they're supposed to. We also had, we still continue to see people driving with their cell phones. Again, that's another violation that we see. The driving indicators, or the way people drive when they're on their cell phone, is equivalent to the people driving under the influence. So if you're driving and we get behind you and it looks like you're weaving or you're driving in a manner that makes us think you're under the influence, we'll probably pull you over. And then we find out that you're just on your cell phone making a call at your office or to your family because you need to find out what they want for dinner. That happens way too often, and we still continue to see it. So please put your phones away, put them in a safe location. When you get to your location, to your destination, pull it out, and then pull out your phone and call or return the call for whoever was calling you. We had a fatal traffic collision earlier today on the 5 freeway. It's not in your area, but I just wanted to let you guys know this gentleman jumped out of a moving car and he started walking on the freeway, and this poor driver did not see him coming, and the gentleman walked in front of his pickup truck and he struck him, and he died of his injuries on the freeway. So please be careful while you're driving. I tell everybody, 100% of your attention should be focused on driving when you're driving. I don't know if this gentleman could have done anything to avoid this collision because he was on the freeway, and it sounds like he just jumped out in front of him. But please be aware of people braking, people swerving, just things that do not seem normal on the roadway. Just take that extra second, slow down, pay attention. Don't get lost in a conversation with your passengers. Don't get lost with a debate on KPCC. Pay attention to what you're doing. And driving is very important. That's all what your focus should be on. So I'll stop there. That was 5 minutes and 41 seconds.
Sir, you'll be the model of this. Any questions for Officer Iniguez? I hope, Officer Iniguez, you had an opportunity to pass that email forward that I sent you regarding seeing the motor officer doing radar enforcement on eastbound traffic on Colima there at Stimson. We appreciate it whenever they are able to do enforcement on those roads. Thank you.
Yes, sir. And a quick, I don't know if there was a resident there, Hacienda Heights. She called and she was concerned about people doing donuts and people not stopping at the stop signs there on Camino del Sur and Vallecito. So we did take that call, and we are going to be doing some more enforcement actions in that area. So your neighbors are calling, telling you guys to please slow down and stop. More than likely, it's going to be a resident that we're going to pull over that's not stopping at the stop signs. I've been there a few times already, and I just want you guys to know to please, follow the regulations and follow the vehicle code, because you are getting snitched out by your neighbors.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank
Next,
you.
Representing the Habitat Authority, Mountains Recreation Conservation Authority, we have the director, and that's Andrea Gulo. Welcome, Andrea.
Hi, good evening, welcome, and thank you for having me. I also have my timer going, but I expect to be way under 7 minutes. I'd first like to start off with a non-law enforcement update that we will be having a virtual Earth Day event, just 1 hour over Zoom on April 24th. And I will forward, Scott, I will forward you the flyer once it is available for you to distribute. I did speak with Deputy Chief Ranger Ken Hughes about an update for today, and it's as follows. The COVID, in terms of managing the pandemic, the Rangers are out there monitoring social distancing and mask wearing, and it's in fairly good compliance at Hacienda Trailhead. In terms of the fire, nothing has changed there. We are prepared, as always, for any and all wildfires. And I assume that Deputy Chief Ranger Hughes gave you an update on the fire at the top of Skyline at the last board meeting. If he didn't let me know, I'll give you a brief update on that. Graffiti is on the uptick in the area. At the top where the fire was at the end of Skyline, at the top of the Cindy Way up there, we are out there every day removing graffiti. Down at the bottom, it is, we do experience it at the trailhead as well, and we do remove it and try to be very diligent about keeping that area clean. You may have noticed, anecdotally, we have noticed that trails have never been busier than they are right now, and that's not only unique to Hacienda Hills, but it's for all of our trailheads. So we are going to continue to monitor that and take necessary steps if we need to, but just for right now, we're monitoring it, and I'm sure everybody's enjoying being out and on the trails, especially during the pandemic. Good news is that you may have noticed at Hacienda Hills Trailhead, we added spikes at the entrance gates and fence to prevent illegal access. And while they were initially damaged, we repaired them. But luckily, over the past 2 months, we have not received one call for illegal entry to the trailhead. So they are working. And that was normally some of the local residents would call us and let us know. So we haven't received any calls. And lastly, it's about Punta del Este. I'm sure County Parks will be providing you an update on this. As many of you know, Punta del Este has been the access point for a lot of illegal activity after hours over the years, over decades, really. For loitering, partying, and bonfires and things of that nature. And really, as a result of the quarterly sheriff's meetings that we have with multi-agencies back in 2019, we all came together and decided that the first step would be to somehow put up a fence or a gate at the end of Punta del Este to control some of the pedestrian access. And again, I'm sure County Parks is going to talk about this, so I don't want to talk about it too much, but I just want to thank County Parks for addressing this, and Lauren, Yokomizo, Supervisor Hahn's office, and James Yang at County Public Works, and the sheriffs for all working on this and coming together, and hopefully the next step will be taken very shortly, and we'll just have to monitor that and see if it controls the illegal access. But with that, that concludes my remarks at 4 minutes and 17 seconds.
Oh, you've got Officer Iniguez's number in jeopardy there. Thank you, Andrea. Before I ask if there's any questions for her, if you would please, Andrea, that flyer on that event on April 24th, could you send that to our public relations chair, who is Adriana Quinones? And if you go to our website, you'll see under the Contact Us section, we've updated that with all the email addresses.
Sure, will do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Andrea Rouleau? Okay, thank you. Now we move to the next section. It's public input. Earlier I had mentioned that two individuals did write to me, and Isabel Lugo, but I think it's more, Isabel had written, what are the regulations, policies for short-term rentals and neighbor rights? So I'm not sure, Isabel, did you want to discuss something or share a thought about that, or did you just want to pose that question to Lauren Yokomizo? Isabel, if you're on.
Yes, hi everyone. I'm here. So, yeah, I have a question. I mean, this is not the first time that I joined this meeting and I asked the same. I already contact, for the last 2 years, for the past 2 years, I contact Nick over the phone, emails. I documented my complaint. I sent pictures, videos. I also CC Lauren, Deputy Jose Ruano. We had this situation, and I decided to join again today because this weekend we had a really bad weekend with a short-term rental that we have to come down here on Cargreen. I don't know if Juliana is calling. I don't know her, but I don't know if she's calling about the same home.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, okay. So it's really bad. We had a lot of people. They had for 2 nights a party. People are arriving at 12 a.m. We contact the sheriff department. They came over 3 times. If you drive by right now, you will see broken bottles, a lot of trash. People ringing my doorbell at 11 p.m. We had fights outside. I went over today. I saw that they left already. So I went to talk again with the owner because I saw they were cleaning the house. The owner wasn't there. That his son was there. I explained him that this is a big issue for us because he's bringing a lot of strangers to our community, and they're just trashing our city. They have loud music outside in my driveway, smoking on my driveway, on my neighbor. Like, we're tired of this situation, and I don't know what else to do. We contact the sheriff department, but at this point, I don't feel that's enough. I don't think we're doing enough. Anyways, I talked to the owner before. She gave me her phone number. I called her yesterday. She never picked up my phone. I spoke with her son today. He told me that something happened to the mom's phone. And I told him that, look, I mean, this is really bad. I have videos, I have pictures, I have all kinds of proof to show that this is getting really bad. And I don't think it's fair for us, especially I have a young girl, I have a young daughter, and I feel very insecure at night when we have this type of parties because people are parking, like on the streets and talking and fighting at 3 in the morning. I have videos showing fights and people arguing outside, and it's really bad. So I would like to know, my question is, what rights do we have? Before it used to be an Airbnb, and I know Nick shared with me a neighbor complaint or something like that, but they got banned already from that website. So I don't know where else we can complain because I don't know if the sheriff can contact the owner directly, or I don't know what to do. So somebody can guide me, please. As I say, I just need to know how can we contact the owner and let her know that this is causing a big issue not only for me but to the neighbors around me because I'm in communication with them and we're ready to put together a neighborhood watch. I already emailed Mrs. Quiñones.
Isabel?
Yes.
So you've reached your 3-minute limit. So let's we have both Lauren Yokomizo with Supervisor Han's office. We also have Lieutenant Hong with, he's the administrative lieutenant for the Sheriff's Industry Station. And maybe they can just take a couple minutes each and they can share what their respective groups might be able to do to help.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Lauren?
Hi, Ms. LaVonge. So to address the concern that you have, there are just a number of approaches that we can take. Just so you know, the county is working on developing a short-term, an ordinance to regulate short-term rentals. But until that ordinance is ready, in the interim or short-term, what we can do is we can have our county agencies go out and take a look. I think you're doing the right thing by contacting sheriffs. It's good to be able to have those calls documented. If it reaches, a level of there's criminal activity going on, and there's evidence that we can also share with our county council, our code enforcement team. We can also use that. But I know that this is an issue. It's definitely impacted our unincorporated communities, and so I think you're doing the right things. Unfortunately, sometimes these are sort of repeated issues with an owner that's not taking responsibility for the people that they're renting to. If you do know the have the owner's contact information, and you can share it with us, if you can share it with sheriffs, then I think that will be helpful. That way we can try to reach out to them.
Okay, I can email Nick and you whatever contact info that I have.
Okay,
Lieutenant
great.
Lieutenant Hong, do you have anything to offer for the sheriff's department?
Good evening, everybody. This is Lieutenant Hong. Thank you for allowing me to join your meeting tonight. Yes, for the Airbnb or short-term rental issue has been, like Lauren was talking about, has been on the radar for us for quite some time. Without the ordinance that is going to be set in place, there are limitations to what we can do. I'm not saying that we can't do anything, but there are limitations. So Lauren asked for that contact information for the owner. The more calls we get and complaints to them, we've had successes with contacting Airbnb directly. And what they do is, if there's enough complaints that come in over a location, they'll remove that site from their service. So with that in mind, if you ever have, and I've heard about the bartering complaints and that house over the weekend. So if we get those complaints that come in and those calls for service that go out and our deputies respond, those go into our records, and it helps Airbnb decide to remove a location from their services.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Chad, real quick.
I have the same experience in my immediate neighborhood. So if I can ask any of you guys have the same experience, you can just either raise your hand, or the reason why I ask this is because I think it can be a very simple solution while going through the legal process. Is that we know sharing is a good thing, and share drive, that's okay, because but the difference is when people rent their property in the residential area, that is the problem. I guess for Lauren or for whoever the law, the law enforcement organization or offices, is that if it's in residential area, they should be prohibited because it's not the business purpose. Now, if a resident is surrounded by people, such as in downtown, or any other location that is surrounded by business where there ongoing people traffic is normal, then I think that's okay. But if it is strictly residential areas, I really think it should be prohibited.
The prohibition won't come about until the Board of Supervisors puts an ordinance together, and they are working on that. So what we should all do is, when we are concerned, we just need to write to Jen Hassan's office sharing encouragement that this gets moving to please put an ordinance together as soon as possible. Julietta, did all this help you as well, or did you have anything that you needed to?
I would like to add, Scott, because there's minors coming to this house. There's you don't know what is going in that house. These minors are coming out a lot of them drunk. The police was here in front. They saw that. I think they had cameras. We sent. It's very difficult. But they sent. I sent an email to Miss Yokomizo like 2 years ago, and it was like we cannot do anything. And it's very frustrating. It's very painful because we have children. We moved here to feel safe, and because we love this neighborhood, and to come to this situation is very painful. And to hear that somebody's like, oh, we cannot do anything. It's not. You need to call the sheriff. Now they're saying they're working on an ordinance. How long is that going to take? It's almost to the point like, am I going to look for another house to move? How many neighbors do they have to call? How many neighbors do we have to go around and knock on the door so they can, so a change can be done? Do I have to call the news so they can come? When we have like 20 cars, lift, drop off, Uber drop off. It's like, I'm sorry for getting like this, but it's just very difficult, Scott. It's very, to live with this. It's been 2 nights that we don't sleep. The first night it was all these cars. Again, the kids, they leave at 3 in the morning, they're yelling, they're peeing, they're leaving the trash, their bottles. And then the next night, again, people, and then the way they talk, the way they speak, then they're fighting. It's like you're in downtown in a club area. And I'm not living in a club area. So, yeah.
I have the
we'll follow up if you can send us the contact information. I think that will really help. We can follow up with our contacts, and they can send a letter to the owner, and we'll proceed that way. But I just want to assure you that we do understand the concerns, and we'll do whatever we can to try and assist on this.
Lauren, can I interrupt real quick? This is Lieutenant Holland again. So the concerns that you guys have are completely valid. So if you have an issue, make sure that you are already calling the station. So make sure that you put in those calls, and we'll go out and we'll treat that location. Right now, we'll treat it as a disturbance at a party at a house. So if you're having those issues where there's loud music and a bunch of people hanging out in front of the house, so we will go out as a regular call for service at any type of party. And if there's minors drinking outside, if there's minors that are intoxicated, the sheriff's department will act upon those concerns immediately, putting Airbnb and short-term rentals aside.
Mr. Lieutenant, thank you. But last time they couldn't do anything. I saw it. Somebody that is renting, they're very clever. They came out, and I don't know what they talked to the officers. They left. They're probably telling them, well, yeah, we're gonna be quiet. The moment they leave, they come back. Uber, they're parking on the side streets. We see them walk into the house. So we don't see cars, because I know she was cited. Well, was told to receive a letter for parking, right? She was cited for that. But they're telling people to park on the side street. Again, I don't know what happened that night, because somebody came, talked to the officers, and then they left. These people are too clever. And then now they are unbearable, because I know they moved from Airbnb because of all the calls, but now they're in verbal, now they're in booking, so it's gonna be going on and on and on. So, I mean, what are you guys able to, any other help? There has to be some other, we need that help, please, because it's just too much, and this person is just charging, they get like, we saw on verbal, the 700 a night plus the deposit is 1,500, so it's like 3,000 a night. She's never gonna stop. Somebody needs to make her stop. What can we, what is it to do? We have to be with my children listening to these people. It's just crazy.
So Juliana, if I may, I hope what you will find is that you have joined a group here that will actively and in an advocating way assist you with this. My experience has been that when people have an opportunity to join our meetings and speak to the representatives of our government and our law enforcement and public safety, things start happening. So our website, the HHI website, under the Contact Us section, there are emails there for shares of public safety health. As an example, Maury is our vice president and chair of that. You can write to me, and you'll find information there also to contact Lauren. But you came to the right place, and now we'll get something moving and try to put an end to this as best we can, okay?
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening.
You're welcome. And please join us next month and check in with us, okay? Just write to me for public comment. We'd like you to keep returning. All these representatives will be here, and we hope to hear stories that you're seeing successes.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Now, yes?
Really quick, so I know that Juliana thinks that we're talking about the same home, so just to let her know that we're putting together a neighborhood watch. A lot of the neighbors, I was able already to contact them, so I don't know how can I reach out to her so she can join, because we have to take care of our neighborhood. I think that it's about time for us to unite. I don't know if some way she can get her info, or how can I communicate with her?
Yeah, I do send the email to Adriana. She has my information, and so we can.
Okay,
I will contact both of you at the end of the meeting.
Okay, thank you so much, Adriana, for your help. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
And also, given the structure of our committees, our chair of the Public Health and Safety, Maury Edwards, needs to be involved in the loop. Adriana is a wonderful spokesperson for us, and she helps to communicate a lot of information around amongst all of us and out to the community. But let's also keep the chair associated with public safety in the loop. We're going to move on now.
I'm sorry. I will go ahead and take care of including Maury into this.
Thank you.
Please copy me with all those emails, because I have no idea what's going on. And
Right.
they've got with me, and I know Jose, and I know the people who get a hold of the sheriff's department. I just wonder if you can't do it through public health, because it could be a super spreader event.
So let's do this in the interest of keeping the meeting.
Out there and shut it down.
Yeah, we need to keep the meeting moving. I appreciate the ideas. Please communicate with each other offline, and we'll move this thing forward. Next, we're going to move to our presentation. This is the Pacific Heights Development. And with us this evening is Nelson Chung. He is the president of Pacific Community Builders. Nelson has 15 to 20 minutes for his presentation, and that will include some time for questions at the end. Take it away, Nelson.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you for allowing me to give me the time to do this presentation. As this is, by the way, this is part of our promise to Janice Hong's office. We promised them we will keep everything transparent. So that's why about 2 months ago, I reached out to Scott and asked for this opportunity to be here. And later on, you will see. We do have a approved tentative map, but I will explain why we are coming back to you and explain everything to you. And first of all, just bear with me. So, by the way, I will give special thanks to Eleanor. She gave me the training couple days last week and today, twice. And let me see if I can get this shift. If I can get this works. It works. Okay. First of all, please allow me for 2 minutes commercial. It is a brief introduction of PCB and who we are. This year happened to be the 30th anniversary of Pacific Community. It's a home builder starting from Orange County, then eventually reach out to other places. And currently, most of our projects spread out quite far away, and very few still in the more infill area. This one is one of the more unique ones. And then let me give you a quick rundown on the history of the project. this is about a total 113 acre land at the end of Apple Creek land. The project, we started the project in mid-90 and officially started the processing in early 2004, and eventually the penalty map was approved for 47 lots clustered in 2009. I don't know about your business, but as you know, in 2009, we were in either deep recession or depression. But for home builders, we were in depression. So make a story short, a couple of years later, until say 2015 or 16, officially we kicked off the final engineering on this project. And a few things, through the final engineering, few things happened. By the way, this is the map originally approved in 2009. As you can tell, the 47 residential lot clustered toward the north.
Nelson?
Yes.
We don't have that on our screen.
The all it's showing at this moment is still who we are.
Okay, sorry. It shows how much I know the presentation. Sorry. So this one, back to this one is the map of our current project. And this one shows the location of the Hacienda High project. It's about 113 acres, located at the end of Apple Creek land and next to Spong Park. Spong Park is directly to the east. And this is a blow up. And this is a map which was originally approved in 2009. As you can tell on the upper right-hand corner, that was the information from approved information. In a nutshell, it's a 47 residential lots, average about 8,000 square foot, and the total undisturbed open space is about 78 acres, and the residential pad area average is about 7.9% of the total site. The total open space roughly runs about 89% of the site, including disturbed or undisturbed. So, and then through the final engineering effort, this is the current map. And for the most part, the changes were triggered by the engineering requirement from the different departments, mainly traffic and engineering department of the county. To give you some rough idea of why we're doing the change. For instance, the entry, I don't know if you can see my arrow. Can you?
Barely.
Yes? The entry drive, the county want us to flatten the curve. So in other words, to flatten the slope a bit. So that triggered the change. And then we have a fatter mid-hill bench in quite a few places like that and there. So that again triggers some changes. And also the water tank, the location got moved slightly toward the northwest and lower by 30 feet. elevation, mainly due to the stability of the geotech study. And also we moved this 10 acre. By the way, let me go back to explain this a bit. As you may be curious why we're doing this, at the time it was this is before Janice Town's office. This was under Knabe's office. They approached us, at the time, the Shibang Park was going to build a library. But even as for public use, whenever you take away the general use open space, you have to mitigate that. So the only, in other words, the park has to go outside to acquire some mitigation land for that purpose. So they approach us. Can we consider carve out a piece for that purpose? Since then, the library actually seems like it has gone away, or I don't know the current status, but this piece was carved originally somewhere here, and due to the requirement or request from the Shibang Park, they don't want to touch anything with manufactured slope, so we moved to the southeast corner. So in case they do want it, or there's a need, they can always annex this 10 acres. That was the reason. And plus, lastly, the water district require a pump station in this location, which we did not show on the TDM before. So that's part of the changes. And in order to show you, better demonstrate the difference, we did this side by side. So for you to look at, see that as you can tell, it really almost cannot see the difference. And after that, we went one step further to want to show you the difference. This is the overlay. The green line indicating the current design or disturbed area. The red line was the old one. So in other words, through the final engineering effort, we have been able to save another 3 acres. So now it's 81 versus 78 acres undisturbed land, nature's open space. And this is the 10 acre I mentioned earlier. We moved to a southeast corner. And this is a quick look of the product we proposed. Basically, from 3,300 to 4,300 square foot. This is the interior shot of those homes. Actually, we built those homes before. So, and with that, I think I will conclude my presentation and start the Q&A.
Thank you, Nelson. And from the audience, are there any questions for Nelson?
Oh, by the way, I'm so sorry. I forgot to mention why I'm here. Besides the promise to James Town's office, the county has a procedure they call amended map. So basically, if it's a very minor stuff, they said it's amended, not a revised or new tentative. It's amended map. So that's why even the posting of sign only requirement is the posting sign on the site and no mailing out to, let's say, 500 feet. That's why we are here in order to, I said no better way to inform the community than doing a presentation like this. So that's why I'm here.
I'd have to say though, and we'll take questions in a second. I don't believe, and there will be comments associated with this, Nelson, that you've reached an absolute, tiny sliver of the community, and I would be willing to bet the people most.
So it went out since July 15th, in August 19th, September 16th, October 21st. And so it went on for numerous times. And actually the traffic was also traffic issue was also addressed through the planning commission hearing. The reason is with 47 homes, the traffic, even we use say 10 units per dwelling units, the traffic is there a traffic will the residents feels about increase of traffic? Absolutely. Will the traffic service level change? Absolutely not. According to traffic study, the traffic service level starting from level A and end up with level A.
Okay, I went through this 128-page document. Your application expired on 21 October 2011. What happened between 21 October 2011 and 1 December 2020 when this amended track map was published?
I'm sorry. What do you mean by what happened?
No.
You have about a 12-year period where nothing happened. Your approval ran out in 2011.
No.
And then in 2020, we have an amended track map. So what happened during all those years? Because I can't find anything in the documentation about what happened in that 10 to 12-year period.
Well, if you really look into the county's file, probably you can see there were a lot of if any one of you knows how county works, because different departments they have their own saying. So basically, in order to do the final engineering, there were numerous study or different version of sketches done for the project. And,
Nelson, if I may, this is Atia Skandari, the civil on this project. As Mr. Williams, I just want to point a couple of things to Mr. Williams. You touched base on the oak trees and open space. And if you look at the overlay exhibit and the original one thing that the county made sure, and we stayed with the original perimeter of the graded area, is that 90% of those oak trees remain in place. That's why it is such a low density development. Again, if you listen to what Nelson mentioned, we're talking about over 110 acres of land, and only a minor fraction of it is being developed for residential paths. The developed open space or slope areas that we have to grade over is only 23 acres. All the areas that the county wanted to maintain for preserving the natural habitats have maintained the same. There are no changes to our footprint of our grading limit. You mentioned something about the map being expired. The map is not expired. The original approval on all tentative maps are the 2 years. Then after the 2 years, you have automatic extensions. This project is still alive, and we can develop within the next 3 years. The reason, again, that we're here, since there are minor adjustments, only minor that only you can see with the engineer view, and if you put the plans really close next to each other, as Nelson mentioned, is a minor adjustment to the slope because of the bench and the drainage containment. Nothing on the comments or the conditions of approval, because we've gone through it for the past year and a half. All the county departments have blessed the amendment, and they found no change substantial to the original footprint of this project. And again, talking about the traffic, there are no changes to the traffic projection. This is a very, again, low-density residential development. The lots that even you anticipate the maximum number of trips have not increased. The traffic, since the area is already developed, has not changed. So environmental concerns have already been addressed and no change. As far as the viewpoints, we have put together all the environmental CEQA documents, and views have not changed. No impact to those homes have changed. We've actually lowered these paths by 2 to 3 feet rather than raising them. So these are all positive changes. And if they could go back and develop the project earlier, they would have, but as Nelson mentioned, there was a depression, recession on housing, and this project was penciled in for the later year. And this is now later year. We are following the county's rules and regulations. We've discussed it with the county as far as the noticing requirement. And as Nelson mentioned, the noticing will be posted on site. We have no other way of engaging the community. We understand that many years has passed. Some of those homeowners that may have owned the homes then may have moved on. But again, we're dealing with an already entitled project that is changed so minor that it is just the pure zoning administrator approval. But the county and Nelson wanted to make sure to reach out to the community as much as humanly possible to make sure that, you know, residences are told that there are no changes to this project. And
if I interrupt,
sure.
We exceeded the time for this presentation and the question and answers. And I want to thank both of you for coming and representing this project. I will ask that anybody attending the meeting who has any concerns, please write those to both Andrea Gordon, who is our Chair of Environmental Improvement, it's committee I think closest to this maybe, and myself. We'll compare notes, and then the Hacienda Heights Improvement Association Board of Directors will put together anything that we feel we believe we have as strong recommendations on this project, and we will forward that to, I think it's Marie Pavlovec with Department of Regional Planning. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll let you go ahead and release the screen.
Sorry.
And what we're going to do is, while there we go. Thank you, Nelson. Next, we're going to move on with our agenda, and this will be our community representatives. Representing the 4th Supervisorial District for Supervisor Janice Hahn is going to be Lauren Yokomizo. Lauren?
Good evening, everyone. Again, it's a pleasure to be here. So I would just like to start off with a brief update on COVID-19. We continue to see the numbers going down. number of cases, number of deaths, and number of hospitalizations have decreased. As of last week, there was an average of about 2,200 cases per day in LA County. This week is the week that we're supposed to see any potential impacts of the Super Bowl or Valentine's Day. We just want to encourage everyone to stay vigilant. Everyone has, from what we can tell, I see Hacienda Heights as being very vigilant, and we appreciate everyone in your actions that you're doing to keep yourself safe and keeping others safe. But I just wanted to share that as LA County is still in the purple tier. On the vaccine front, LA County has administered over 1.5 million doses. So that's just 10% of county residents. And as Supervisor Hahn likes to say, we need to keep moving forward. We have a long road ahead of us. We have to vaccinate 10 million people twice. But we are getting there. And she's been advocating for 65 and older, as well as schools to reopen safely, emphasis on schools reopening safely, but she does feel very passionately that students need to be back and have this sense of normalcy in their lives, and in being in the classroom is where they're going to be able to really have best opportunities to learn. And locally, I just wanted to share a brief update. Some of you may remember the incident that took place 2 years ago now. Kenneth Jones, the young girl whose body was found in the Heights, and the community came together and did a vigil for her, and there was actually a request for a memorial. So we worked together with Arlene Silva, a local resident, and there's now a memorial in Trinity's honor that was unveiled this week over on the Shabaram Skyline Trail. So if you recall where people were putting out flowers and balloons and things 2 years ago, that's really close to where, that's basically where the memorial is. So if you ever go out onto the trail, you can see her memorial plaque that we put up. Let's see, I think that's all I have. One last thing, I just wanted to let you know that Volunteers of America, they are the provider that's running the Project Home Key in Hacienda Heights. They shared a list of needs that they have. So I wanted to share that with you. If you have any, they're accepting items that their clients need, which includes new clothing. It has to be new due to the pandemic. New towels, any PPE like masks, raincoats. Those are all things that they would really appreciate. So I was actually there on Friday, and it was very quiet. And also, just talking with the volunteer people that run the staff, they do really appreciate people's support. That's all I have. If anyone has any questions, happy to take questions if there's time.
Any questions for Lauren? All right, she's going to get away easy this time. Thank you, Lauren. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Next, and new to our meetings, representing Congresswoman Young Kim's office, our Congresswoman for the 39th Congressional District tonight, and who will be with us going forward for a while will be Abigail Fackman. Abigail, welcome.
Hello everyone, good evening. My name is Abigail and I am the field representative from Congresswoman Young Kim's office. Thank you to HHIA and President Martin for having me. I'm very glad to be here, and I wanted to give a few quick updates on what we and the Congresswoman have been doing. So the Congresswoman is serving on 3 House committees. She's serving on the Committee on Foreign Affairs, on Science, Space and Technology, and Small Business. And she is the ranking member on the Small Business Subcommittee on Innovation, Entrepreneurship, and Workforce Development. So we're very excited to be serving on those committees. She's also introduced a number of bills along with her colleagues. She helped introduce a bill that would repeal the cap on SALT deductions. She helped introduce a bill with Representative Spanberger, the Getting Americans Safely Back to Work Act, which would create a grant program that would provide COVID supplies for our essential workers and our small businesses. And she's also helped introduce the bill, this $160 billion Defeating COVID-19 Vaccine Distribution Package, which would provide funding for our much-needed vaccines, tests, and PPE. So we're really excited to be working on those bills and hoping to get passed. As for our district office, we are located in Placentia. Our address is listed on our website. We are looking into our LA office, and hopefully we can open that one soon and meet our constituents there. But again, I'm very glad to be here, and we're very excited to be working with the association for our community in Hacienda Heights.
Thank you, Abigail. Any questions for Abigail?
Hello, Scott. I do have a question. This is Adriana. My question is, as far as your Los Angeles office, would you consider opening an office in Hacienda Heights, because it has not been properly represented for many years, and we do need representation in Hacienda Heights?
Definitely. So we are looking at multiple locations, and Hacienda Heights is an area that we are considering.
Okay, thank you, Adriana. Thank you, Abigail. Next, representing the 57th State Assembly District, we have Ramon Lakin Jr. representing Assemblywoman Lisa Calderon.
Yes, correct. Hello, good evening. Yeah, so I'm going to go over a couple of events that we're hosting and also a few bills. I'll try to keep it brief. So this Saturday, we're actually hosting a California Earned Income Tax Credit webinar. And I believe I sent that to you, Scott, but I can also put the link on our website. So that's this Saturday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And so there we're just talking about, it's a virtual seminar that we're offering in English and Spanish. So I'll be sure to include that in the chat as well. And then we're also doing a memoriam in tribute for and paying our respects for the COVID-19 victims. And we're doing that on Saturday, March 13th at 10 a.m. So last Friday was the deadline to introduce new legislation. So the Assembly member introduced AB 289, which is regarding school merit systems. And then also AB 742, which will extend the school supplies for homeless children fund program. And finally, we have AB 619, which requires the Department of Public Health to rely on outreach programs to consider awareness for chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, to promote diagnosis and treatment. So do you guys have any other questions regarding the events or the legislation?
Any questions for Ramon?
Yes,
All right.
Adriana again. Ramon, when will the Assemblywoman have a virtual open house so the community gets to know her?
You know what, that's a good question. So let me write this down and I can get back. I'm not sure yet, but you know, we are hosting meetings. We are hosting events a couple of weekends, like I said, but that is a good question. So let me write this down and I can get back to you for it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Ramon. Next, representing the 32nd State Senate District for Senator Barb Archeleta, do we have Kyle Miller on the line? Kyle, are you out there? Okay, moving on. Representing our Hacienda Heights Library, our librarian, Christina Cabrera Labrador. Christina, are you here? Strike 2. All right. And representing Hsi Li Temple, Gina Oy. Gina, welcome. You're muted, Gina.
Good evening. Do I get 7 minutes to add on mine?
Well, 14 because 2 people aren't there. No, you may not.
Oh, no, I'm just kidding. Good evening. We are still in Chinese New Year, Lunar Chinese New Year, and it's the year of the ox, and we are closed to the public. And thank you to the the industry sheriff department, and they did a very well, security and the traffic control during the first weekend. And even now, till the end of this week, they continue monitoring and controlling the traffic in the area. Appreciate that. And also, I would like to thank the Congresswoman Yang Kim, Senator Bob Archeleta, and Supervisor Janice Hans provided the video for us to post it on the Chinese New Year, and also Scott from HHIA, and it went very well. And as you know, we all do video. Everything is online, and we had our Q&A on the religious interfaith services online. Everything is on YouTube. And also we do have a service, the online retreat. Can you believe that? We do that, and then it's about Resurfer Live. And we have like over 30 participants, and all across California, Texas, Canada, and even Brazil, that discuss how to resurfer your life like a deck of cards, so we can adjust to the new normal of the life, the pandemic. And then so back to our school, and it's open. We are still online, Hsi Li School after school program. We have Chinese program, we have tutoring program, music classes, art and craft classes, drawing classes, and Spanish classes. So we also have online children team meditation. You guys are welcome to go online to check it out. And the next thing I wanted to thank you is everybody's support, and we did very well in that. And we do continue serving the community. And currently we're working with the Senator Bob Archuleta. We try to provide more face masks and also sanitize wipes to the community, to the retirement home, and nursing home too. So this is what we try to do, and we're here to continue serving the community. And as for our project in shopping center, the Hsi Li Center, we have seen the signs up, and we are ready to go, and we try to pack. As soon as the school starts, we'll probably have our school move down there. And you also will see that right now, EVgo has a project in there to install 6 charge stations for the electrical vehicles. It will be right behind the McDonald's in our parking lot. So we are repaving and repatching the whole parking lot. Hopefully, we'll have a better and safer shopping center to serve the community. And we have hired the new property management. It's called STC. Hopefully, they will get some new businesses into the shopping center, and to provide to the community. Also regarding the monastery across the street, unfortunately I do not have any updates because everything is still under the response to the public meeting that we had back in November, and is handled by the LA County and our Rincon consulting firm to respond to all those questions that we received back in November. I think that's all I have to report, and I'm just your time. So any questions that you guys have regarding the temple, you can call the temple. And also we do, because it's open right now, 25%. So anybody that would like to visit the temple, they can call and register with the temple. We have a limited visitors to come in. We still have, the gate is closed, is secured by the traffic control department, and we do check the temperature, we do sanitize, and so you're welcome to call in and visit the temple. It's limited. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tina. And last, representing our community, we have Brian Ceballos with the LA County Parks and Recreation. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you very much, Scott. Good evening, everyone. I will try to make this brief, like everybody else here. Wanted to start off by announcing that in a few weeks, our spring classes will go live. Right now, we are taking registration. Most of our programming is done virtually, and so you can sign up for a number of classes. Let me see if I can share my screen just to show you guys some information on how to register for these classes. This is the department's social media page under Instagram. It gives flyers and notices of our spring classes, which again begin March 8th. And you can follow this URL link over here at parks.lacounty.gov/spring21. When you go ahead and go to that link, you will find our page on classes, spring classes, and then you can just go ahead and scroll through and it'll list a number of classes that we have offering this spring. Classes run March 8th until the end of May. And again, most of these classes will be done virtually. However, we will be able to operate under the new state and county regulations, outdoor fitness programs, so workout classes or self-defense classes or dance classes can be done outside, still following COVID-19 safety guidelines, and then that information is also found on our page there. I also want to announce that last week we've been given the approval and we will be going forward with a spring grab and go drive-through event at Steinman's Park. That will be scheduled for Friday, April 2nd. I believe it will be from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. and it will mirror our other holiday event grab and goes like our Halloween, Thanksgiving, and winter events. I don't have a flyer yet, but I will be sure to be in contact with the HHIA board members. Once I have that information, I will make sure to provide the flyers and lock in the dates once that are, and details of the events once that has been confirmed. Lastly, I do want to share with you that in April, the Hacienda Heights Community Center will host a blood drive event, and you can look online at the Red Cross website and just search by either a date, time frame, because it's still a little far away. You won't see it on the top results, so you can search by date and distance, and it will indicate our event here at the Hacienda Heights Community Center. Again, that's scheduled for Saturday, April 17th. So if you know anybody else who would be interested in donating blood, we are one of the major donating sites in Hacienda Heights, and American Red Cross does come and reach out to us, pretty frequently for these blood drive events. So we have one scheduled in April, and then we also have another one coming up in June. So those are our next current events as far as the Hacienda Heights area. In terms of park usage, we're still operating under the county's directives as to no indoor facility usage. We have not been given a date as to when that will be lifted. However, patrons can still come to our parks, can enjoy the playgrounds, can enjoy the outdoor workout areas. The sport amenities are still closed. Golf courts, baseball fields, or soccer fields. We still, try to inform these groups who are at our county parks, who are trying to host these practices. We understand that, everybody has that cabin fever of wanting to just come out and enjoy, now that the weather's starting to look a lot nicer this week. We're expecting to have really good weather, so we're anticipating a lot more groups out there. We're doing our due diligence. We're, just informing everybody of the current, guidelines and the county's, directives on the matter. But other than that, there doesn't appear to be any major changes that at least I'm aware of within the department anytime soon. I can't say this though, as far as events go, we're not looking at any potential large events that we typically do. Maybe not even until the end of this year in the fall. So certainly nothing for the summer. I know that there's the 4th of July parade that gets, conducted on Simpson Avenue and then culminates at Stuyvesant Park. I'm fairly certain that that will not happen this year, at least the parks part of the program, nor will our concerts, nor our outdoor movie gatherings, unfortunately. But we are potentially looking at, reintroducing our events in the fall for like Halloween and things like that. So at this time, I will open it up to any questions if anybody has any.
Brian, this is Maury Edwards. The 4th of July parade has been officially canceled.
Okay.
And they will do a caravan like they did last 4th of July, which is to drive through the heights. And that's being organized. It'll be about the same number of cars as last year, but perhaps a larger route to get past more homes. But it's still going to be about 30 vehicles. It'll be on the 4th of July. The parade itself is canceled.
Thank you very much, Mark, for that.
Thank you, Brian. All right, now we're going to move on to business for the HHIA. Related to the treasurer's report, consent items is the section where we advise the board of monies that has been spent on things. 2 items, printing of director binder inserts and the board business cards, $156.33. And then our required filing, Secretary of State SI 100 form, that was $20. Any questions regarding these expenditures? Okay, we're going to move into old business. So for the 2020 annual financial audit committee, the chair of that is Maury Edwards. And Maury, can you give us a quick update as to the status of that financial audit and your team?
Yeah, what we've decided to do, we kind of figured how could we do it in person, and we're going to do it virtually now. And Scott and Eleanor and Randy and I will be putting that together probably this week or next week, and it'll just be done. We'll randomly audit the books and see how we do. Last year's went very well, and I don't expect any differences this year. So that should be done in the next week or so, as soon as we get the go-to-meeting scheduled.
All right, Maury, thank you. As far as the financial report for our canceled annual business meeting and typically dinner, we are still required to do a financial sheet on that. And in preparing it, the only thing we had expenses for, we had $53.66 for plaques that we gave out, and then $5.50 in certificates. And the total on that was $59.16. We had no money coming in because we didn't do any raffles. We didn't do anything except plan to make sure that we combined everything. And I think that went well in our meeting. So anyhow, there is the financial report. I'll make sure, Eleanor, I get a copy to you and Randy. And next, nominations. This is going to be an ongoing thing until we fill a vacancy in our board. These unprecedented times and our inability to be able to face-to-face with people, I continue to, just ask the board members if they have anybody that they would nominate. Remember that the individual must be a member in good standing. That means that they must have been a paid member of this organization for at least 6 months prior to a nomination. Board, do you have anybody that fits that criteria who you may have spoke to see if they would be interested and if you would nominate tonight? Having heard none, It is not out of the ordinary, and sometimes we will reach out to our membership, members of the HHIA. Do you have anyone who you think might be interested in being nominated to a position? Okay, let's move on. New business. Next, I'm going to name the directors, HHI directors, and their committee chair assignments. So from our Article 10 committees in our bylaws, our committees are zoning, and that will be chaired by Victor Yang. Code enforcement, chaired by Shojin Hu. Streets and highways, chaired by Ted Chang. Parks and Recreation will be chaired at this time by Adriana Quinones, and I'll back her up on anything that she needs with that, because when we fill the 12th position, we'll hand that responsibility over to that individual. Membership, Jerry Kleinfeld. Programs, myself. Environmental Improvement, Andrea Gordon. Fundraising, as needed, will be Jerry Kleinfeld, and I'll assist her with that also. And Public Relations is Adriana Quinones. Additional standing committees are Public Safety and Health, chaired by Maury Edwards. The newsletter, I will be, which isn't a committee, but I will be taking responsibility for the newsletter this year. And then Water and Utilities is Jeffrey Lynn. Remember that on the HHI website, we've gone in there recently and updated it under the Contact Us section, and you'll find those names and those email addresses for each of the board members. Under new business, also we have the electronic payment system called Zelle that our treasurer Randy Black spoke of in a previous meeting. I've asked him to just give us like a real quick down and dirty on it, and then I'm going to ask for a motion after he's finished to see if this board wants us to adopt this electronic payment system. Randy?
Okay. Hello, everyone. So, yes, I have investigated the Zelle payment system, electronic payment system, which is like PayPal or Venmo or any of those, with US Bank. There is a fee associated with receiving payments for like membership, which was primarily the purpose to implement electronic payments. But there's a fee associated with it. So, for example, if you were an annual member, we'd be requesting $21 rather than $20 for the payment if they were choosing to pay via electronic means versus a paper check or cash. And for a life member, it'd be $154 instead of just $150. But if everybody is okay with that sort of proposal, what I think we would plan to do is write up a electronic document, electronic payment document, and outline the steps that a member would have to do to utilize the electronic payment system. And that requires me as the treasurer to register with US Bank as a Zelle partner and accept the terms and conditions and obviously the fees that would go along with acceptance of any of those payments that way. But I think it's a good idea. I don't know if there will be a ton of people that will be utilizing the electronic payment method, but at least that option will be available. So I think it would be a good idea for us to move forward with that. And I did kind of list that as one of the potential goals for our organization for 2021. Does that kind of help everyone understand a little bit about what that would be?
Any questions for Randy on that? One of the things that I think that we must realize is as we want to increase our membership, we're going to increase it through, I don't want to say younger people, but people younger than a lot of us, and this is their thing. You know, they're not into, they don't even probably own a checkbook. So we're moving ourselves forward into the 21st century and our social networking, which Adriana's doing a fantastic job on through this payment system. So any questions for Randy?
Yes,
Okay, Adriana, and then Shozhen. Go ahead, Adriana.
do we need to change the bylaws by changing the electronic payment option?
No, we do not.
No, yeah, we wouldn't have to. Yeah, it's just a procedural process that we would implement electronic payment, but it wouldn't affect our bylaws necessarily.
Yeah, good question, Adriana. It just asks for amounts of money, and we can use whatever methods or processes to do it, except stealing. Shojin, go ahead.
Yes, I had a question about because it seems like if we want using the electric system, we need to open an account in U.S. bank.
We already have a bank account with.
Oh, we already have bank account. So I don't know because my account in Chess, the is kind of the free. I don't know it's because we are in a personal account and HHI is a business account. That's different.
Yes, it is. Yes, we're not a personal account. I've actually gone into the bank and talked to them about that. We're treated as a business account, and what I particularly asked them when I talked to them was if there was an option for nonprofits, which were a nonprofit, be able to avoid having to pay a fee, and they said, no, you're a business. So we still have to, if it was person to person, you can do that like your PayPal without fees, but not as a business. We're a registered business with U.S. Bank. Yeah, good question though. Good question. That was something I had considered early on and thought, is there any way to get around that? But there isn't.
And Randy and I kind of rack our brains to make sure that we don't feel obligated to have to do business with U.S. Bank, but we've just not moved anything at this time to a different banking institution. And we wouldn't do that without input from all the board members. Jerry, did you have a question?
Yeah, I have a business account with Chase and my personal. They don't charge me for business transfers with Zelle. I don't get charged. Have you tried asking one what's to waive the fee? Sometimes if you ask nice enough, they'll waive it.
I did talk to the whatever the general manager at U.S. Bank, and he said no.
Really?
I mean, there's always an option to switch banks, but that would be a really hard thing to do at this point in time and take a lot to move our bank account. But yeah.
So there's only one per transaction for $20?
I'm sorry, Jerry?
Is it only a charge per transaction?
Yes. Yeah, it's a charge per transaction.
Or whether it's $20 or $150. And we can certainly look at maybe like Chase. I think we've tried to sort of keep our business within Hacienda Heights. We'll explore this later, but at this moment, can I get a motion from someone on the board?
I have a quick thing. This is
Cindy.
The president of U.S. Bank is a Hacienda Heights Wilson High School grad. We might want to try going above the manager of the local branch to see if there's something we can.
If you have the contact name, I'd love to give him a call.
Okay.
Thank you. Cindy, is it green up?
Yeah, the color green and the direction up, one word.
Okay, I thought so. Okay, Cindy. I don't see your last name, but I figured that was...
I don't know how to put it up there.
That's okay. That's okay. Yeah, if you have a contact name, it'd be worth at least calling and asking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we big things, and we bank with some of the other organizations I'm with. I'm treasurer, and I ask them to waive the fees, and they do. They just reverse it out.
Well, I don't want to have to reverse it every single time, but yeah, if they could do it generically, just across the board for our account, that's what I was hoping they would say is, oh, you're a nonprofit, we'll waive the fee, but they were like, no.
So can I get a motion from the board that we'll move forward with at least getting into, at this moment, Zelle, adopting an electronic transfer protocol to add to our abilities to be able to give our members an easier way to transfer money. That doesn't need to be the whole motion, but somebody shorten that for me.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we establish the Zelle account for payment, but at the same time, speak to somebody about waiving the fees.
Okay, we have a motion. Do I have a second?
I second.
So Jeffrey Lynn seconded the motion. Thank you very much, and then Randy will investigate that further. A few items from me. During our Board of Directors workshop, one of the items we discussed were 2021 goals. The board agreed that those ideas would come in, 2 per board member, and arrive on the 12th of February as the latest. To date, 4 board members have submitted and 7 board members have not. What I just want to find out from the board is whether the not sending anything in, is it more to do with we might not want to do any goals this year? I would share with you that the goals really only addressed in our bylaws in one place, and that's in the agenda for our annual business meeting. And it says that the president will share the goals of the HHIA. It may have morphed at one point in time where we decided to have 6 or 7 or 4 or 2. I think that having goals tells our members that we are doing things to move some initiatives forward. But what I'm going to ask Eleanor to do as secretary, I want her to do roll call, and I want each board member to please share whether we do want to have goals for this year or whether we do not want to have goals for this year. And then depending on the majority, then we'll figure out whether 6 was too grandiose, whether we want to whittle it down to a smaller number. We'll just take a couple minutes on this. Eleanor?
Okay. Adriana? Goals or no goals?
Goals.
Andrea?
No goals.
Jerry?
I'm having a membership committee meeting tomorrow. We'll have goals after the meeting.
What is your yes goals or no goals, Jerry?
Oh, yes. Later.
Jeffrey?
No goal for this year.
Murray?
Goals.
Randy?
Goals, please.
Scott?
Goals, please.
Jojen?
No particular goal for this year.
Ed?
Goal!
Victor?
Okay, Ed. We hear you.
I have to follow that one. Yes, goals.
And Eleanor?
Yes, have it. Yes.
Okay, so how many 4 goals?
Well, we have 3 no's. That means,
Okay, so the majority wants goals, that's 8 goals. So now, and I know that a few of us did submit some, but I would like, everybody, those of you who don't want to have goals, if you don't want to submit anything, that's fine. It's not, but that's whatever. So those of you who want goals, please submit some. Let's try to get these in. I'd like to at least be able to have something that we can share in our March meeting, okay? Thank you very much. Some information, I mentioned this earlier, this nonprofit 501c4 organization, also considered a corporation in the state of California, is in compliance at this time, having submitted the forms required by the Secretary of State, SI 100, the Attorney General's Office of Charitable Trust, which is the RRF1 and the CTTR1. We've also filed for the IRS and for the franchise tax board. So all of those things are done, and we are in good standing. In a moment, we're gonna do a round robin and just ask each of the board members who have anything that they want to share, just briefly. Try not to give us like some detailed, in-depth thing, just maybe at 10,000 feet, something you may be working on. That I hope will also be Jerry, just to do something quick. She mentioned it already. Tell us just real fast about what you're going to be doing. So once again, Eleanor, if you can just call board members by name, and those who wish to provide something, please do so.
Okay, I'll be having a membership committee meeting tomorrow. It's a good meeting. The people on the committee are myself, Eleanor, Scott, Cindy Greenup. Oh, Cindy, your last name showed up now. And Adriana Quinones. So 6 o'clock tomorrow. Okay, Eleanor will send us a link. I don't have the link yet. Okay.
I sent it out.
Did you really?
Yes.
I got the link for this meeting, but for tomorrow, really?
I'll send a reminder tomorrow, but I did.